Gotta wait a few minutes. Welcome to Bella and I's studio. And Posca Wednesdays. Posca Wednesdays is a weekly series, sketchbook series, where every week we're towards filling a page and moving on to the next page. So we're going to fill this sketchbook with Posca pens, Posca pen art. Hopefully by the end of it, we'll be way good at Posca pens. But first, we need to have some tools, just like that. Now last week, I suggested that this was a dump, and I'm going to stick with that theme. I see it as a dump where these animals and these critters thrive on what's been thrown away. So I'm seeing a snail down here, and I have a reference photo that I'm working from. I'll sketch it in here pretty light. He's going to be friends with the frog. Something about like that. I'll come in here and little snail critter. You got some of this going on, some suction cup stuff going on there at the bottom of himself. See, some antennae. Oh, that's a long one. Couple there in the front. Okay. And then some of this stuff going on here. Not sure if you guys can see that pencil coming up on the paper. I'm trying to go light because I'm going to be coming back over this with Posca pen. Give it the illusion that it's there's some curvature to the surface of this shell on the back of our friend here, Snail. We call him Snaily. His name's Snaily. It's a fitting name for a snail. Alexa, what's the symbolism of a seagull, a mouse, a frog, and a snail?
Seagulls symbolize resourcefulness and adaptability, while mice represent cleverness and persistence. Frogs often symbolize transformation, and snails represent slow, steady progress. Together, they form an interesting mix of traits.
What would you say those traits in accumulation would be?
These traits combined suggest adaptability, cleverness, transformation, and steady progress. It's like having a versatile team that can handle change, solve problems, evolve, and keep moving forward.
Alexa just knows how to say all the right things. I did not know that.
Well, I do have a knack for making things sound profound when really I'm just connecting dots like a cosmic game of animal charades. Though I appreciate the compliment, it's nice when my digital wisdom lands just right.
Yep. So we'll come in here back to the antennae.
Sometimes the best conversations happen with just one word. Though I have to admit, Yup is doing some heavy conversational lifting there. It's like the Swiss Army knife of responses.
I talk to her a lot. To get some antennae there, right? Yeah, that's kind of how I'm seeing it right here. It looks like a snail to me. this shell needs to come down a little bit more. Just to where it's just up over Snaily here. There. We'll come in with a kneaded eraser and lighten up those lines just a little bit. So when I come over with the Posca pen, it doesn't interfere with the Posca pens. Don't really want it to show through, you know, the Posca pens. Nice little friendly snail. No, the rest of this isn't too bad. Just wanted to get the idea that I want to get the body out of the back end of there, or underneath the shell. We're going to extend this just a little bit. So the snail's got a little tail. Alright. Well, go into Posca pens. Yay! Let's go. There's a lot of Posca pens. We'll bring them over here. Get ourselves a little scrap piece of paper here so that we can prime our pens before we go putting the paint to the paper, so we don't drown our project in paint. It's important to shake these with the caps on and to use a spare piece of paper and prime them before you go onto your actual drawing, so you don't drown the paint. These have a knack for really spewing out the paint if you put too much pressure on them and stuff at first. So you want to be careful and be mindful of that. Definitely do see a lot of browns. Let's go with let's start with black, just so we can get them dialed in here. Okay. Thought I was running out of ink on it. Okay. Little body of the little snail here. Yeah, I like the idea of things thriving in places that most people ignore. I find that fascinating. And to me, that's where the example that in quietness there's still noise, there's still things happening. And to me, that's a profound statement. To nature just says, hey, we're not gonna play by the rules of the game here, as most people see it. We're gonna create where most wouldn't, where others throw away. So in this place, in this dump, these creatures live. Not only do they live, but they thrive. So they thrive. Do his little shell here. Or her. Could be a her too. Always have to be a him. I am still coming into the best way to use my equipment. I have been practicing different lighting combinations, and I think I'm coming into it. I'm using a GVM light here for my key light. That's what they call it. And then I'm using a Neewer 660 RGB Pro 2 for my rim light. And I really dumbed down the settings on my DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro camera. And I think looking at it, to me, you can start seeing the colors as they truly are on the paper that way. It takes a little bit to get used to it, but once you get it, you set it and you don't change it. It is what it is at that point, right? I'll come in here and do our line work with the shell or the snail shell. Snaily's home. Snaily's home away from home, right? Yeah. I like snails. Snails are pretty cool. They're our friends, just like all these other critters that apparently carry a lot of symbolism that I had no idea. Although last week we did ask Alexa what these three were, the seagull, frog, and mouse. I just figure every time I add a critter to the page, maybe just ask her, what does this mean? You know, it'd be kind of fun. Little trivia. I mean, I don't know about, I don't know how animals symbolize anything or how they come up with that concept. And if you know, let us know down in the comments. I have no idea. So, no idea where she gets that from. Maybe we should ask her that. But I'll ask her that some other time. If you guys have Alexa at home, maybe you can ask her. Ask her, then let us know down in the comments. We'll get this little antennae in here. Oops, see that? It was still wet and I went and touched it. So I gotta be mindful of that as we're moving through our drawing here, that we don't touch it while it's wet. Okay, got some little antennae there. I think it's got a few dots here, just kind of just for the skin texture, right? Okay. Well, do snails have eyes? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I'm not entirely sure. I don't see any eyes on this one. Doesn't look like it has eyes. It has some interesting skin texture. I don't know that we can really accomplish that fully with Posca pens. I mean, that's incredible. But at any rate, I really like the color of its shell. I mean, that's pretty dope. It looks dynamite. So we'll work dark to light with it, just to see. Yeah, we're good. We'll come in here right underneath all this stuff, right underneath the black. We go over the black a little bit. It's okay, because it's okay to break up those lines a little bit, right? Of the black, just so it looks cooler. Starts looking more suggestive there in the values. It gives the values a little more credibility and depth when the lines are to go over it like that. It's not so That's not definite. What are you guys drawing today? If you're drawing with me, or maybe you're just chilling and drawing, not drawing, just listening. Just being here in this space is okay. You don't have to be drawing. You don't have to be using Posca pens. You could be using some other pen, like maybe Sharpie Creatives. Those are cool pens. I like those. They're very comparable to these Posca pens. So they have a little different way of moving, but it's the same thing. I mean, when I look at this, I mean, it just looks like paint. It doesn't look like a marker to me. It looks like paint, like somebody laid down some acrylic. It absolutely looks like acrylic paint. So. We'll really be mindful of the direction this shell is wanting to take us. It's taking us in and around to a specific location. I wonder what the shell looks like inside of that thing, and if the body sort of shapes into the shell. I don't know. I've seen plenty of snails without shells. What did you guys do all week? Did you do anything fun? Anything exciting? Anything eventful that you want to share and tell us about? I like to hear what other people do in their weeks, in their days. Anything happen, anybody have, anything eventful happen in their life. Maybe you found something that you lost. You're able to recover it. You can share that joy with us of finding what you lost a long time ago. Maybe you lost it a day ago. Maybe you lost it a year ago and just found it. I don't know. I do that sometimes. I'll lose stuff and then find it, a while later. I really like that shell. I think we're going to come into the body with more of a gray. We'll go off-white. Whoop! We'll go off-white, though. That's what we'll do. This is more of an off-white, or I'd call it off-white. I'll just come in and get the body down in here. I always like using a few different colors closest to each other to shade in stuff, to make the transition of colors, and just, something cohesive. I don't like to push with these nibs. I'd rather pull like I'm doing right now, because it seems like when you're pushing against the grain, or pushing the pen, it seems that it wants to spit in front of the pen a little bit. It didn't do it here, but I could hear it, so I just wanted to be careful with it and didn't want to cause any friction in the drawing. Yeah. Okay. Just one side. I want to leave a little bit of that left. A little bit of the, little tiny bit of that antenna. The reason why, it's because we're going to come in with this. First, actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around these little dots here that I made with the black. Just something I'm seeing. as I'm growing with these Posca pins, I'm learning, there's more than one way to get something from what you're doing, what you're using. So I'm just going around these little black dots that I made, just to kind of remember where they're at, not to necessarily make any definitive choices about what I'm doing. I just want to remember where those are. Okay. I have to let that dry for a little bit. I like going lighter to dark because to go over the dark with the light is a little more difficult with these. So the darker colors are more opaque. So if I go light to dark, I can go over that light really easy. Easier with darker colors than I can the opposite way. So I try to keep that in mind as I'm moving along. I'll do the light to dark thing. Wherever possible, wherever, it just seems to work out. It's not really anything you necessarily have to really, plan. You can a little bit, but precision doesn't really matter with art, at least not in my experience. In my experience, there's no exact way of doing anything. You can be who you want to be, do what you want to do, as long as you're creating art. There's no penalty. Nobody should be penalized for creating art, no matter how you do it. If you, for example, if you trace something onto an image, don't let that tear you down. Don't listen to people that tell you that it's cheating, because it's absolutely not. That is just such a term that people use when they're 5 years old. Or 10 years old, because I remember doing it. I remember thinking that it was cheating. It was cheating. Well, over the 42 years that I've experienced creating art, I put that notion to rest, friends. It's, if you're tracing, you're still learning. Remember that. If you're tracing something, you're still getting memory, muscle memory in your wrist. You need to start somewhere, start there. I guarantee you. You need some kind of motivation, trace something in color. It's going to make you feel good. If it makes you feel good, it's art. It's doing its job. Just be kind to yourself. Don't tear yourself down. Don't tell yourself that you're less than what you really are, because you are everything. You are everything in the universe. You mean a lot. And I think that's important for people to understand about themselves, is that they are more than what meets the eye. Huh, that's a different kind of gray, isn't it? We'll try it out. How about that? It looks like I've already tried it out. This is where I'm going to go over that white just a little bit. Or that off-white, excuse me. Because this is going to be the shadow color. And I'm not going to straight trace everything. I'm just going to come in gradually under a few little places. And I'm just going to make my presence known with it, where that black line is. See? It's that black line, and here comes a little bit, tiny bit of gray. Maybe we can, a little bit more there. Maybe there's some in here. Maybe the bottom of this, what are they, it's not a foot. What would you call the bottom of the snail, the part that helps it move across the ground? What would you call that? That part of it, part of the snail. Get the antennae colored in a little bit there. Just little front antennae. Come with a little bit of white. Just to give it a suggestion here. there's some white in the body, a little bit. Maybe some reflection. Maybe not. They feel like they're moving. I have to move the surface of the paper down a little bit so I can see where that white's at, because I can't really see it to the white paper. So it'll do a little bit of covering, but it won't show up too much, and I don't want to drown my painting in it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's covering that off-white pretty well. Just getting some color in there, huh? Just a little bit of color. Okay. I don't want to come in with this off-white again. And I want to go around the shell just a little bit. Maybe just like that. We're gonna come in here just like this. Just like that. Right up against that brown on the shell. And honestly, I'm making this up as I go. I mean, I do have a reference photo, but just for an idea for colors and shapes, masses. What I'm seeing as far as the overall shape of the slug. Okay. Now as these groupings get a little tighter, we're going to color them in a little bit more there. Really like this style of drawing with Posca pens, because it really takes you back. I mean, takes you back to when you're young and you're just, working with, I mean, I didn't work with pens or colors too much. I did use crowns, but it reminds me of working with crowns. Makes me want to get a set of crowns. Watched an artist using water, I guess they're water soluble crowns or something to that effect. At any rate, they're a color crown that you can add a bit of water to, and do a similar deal that you would do with watercolors. Not exactly, but you can add as much water as you want or whatnot, and it moves the pigment of the crown with the water. That was pretty cool. All these different approaches to creating things. It's amazing. It's so cool. It's so cool. Art is just so cool. It's a good friend. A good friend to have. It's a good friend to go to. So yeah. There's no entry fee for art. You just jump into it. You just do it. You don't ask anybody how to do it, or if it's okay if you do it the way you do it. You need to discuss that with yourself. But while you're having that discussion with yourself, take it from somebody that's been drawing all his life. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't box art in. Art isn't supposed to be boxed in and labeled and all this stuff. It's just not. That's why there's so many different styles and so many different ways of creating art. That's why there's so many different types of art supplies. It's because there's more than one approach to creating something. Bottom line, if it makes you feel good, do it. Do it. And do it until you figure out another way to, do it. I mean, nothing wrong with tracing. Nothing wrong with doing anything like that. Doesn't matter. Absolutely does not matter. And I really want to say that, because I feel that that was something that held me back when I was young, when I was a kid, in a lot of ways, from expressing myself, not only expressing myself, but enjoying myself. Art, you're supposed to be able to enjoy yourself. It's not supposed to be painful, friends. It's not. It's not supposed to be self-loathing. It's not supposed to create this atmosphere of self-loathing or, you know, self, I don't know, just being mean to yourself. Don't be a bully. And this is what's interesting because you know what, we have bullies in school and everybody talks about all the, you know, the bullying at school and you know how kids are bullies. And you know, I think sometimes the worst bully lives inside of you, lives inside of yourself. That's the first bully you got to knock down. That's the first bully you need to tell what's up. Don't let that bully you. Don't let that bully tell you that you're not good enough just because you do something a certain way. Don't let that bully do that to you. Yeah, heck no, we stand up to bullies right here. We tell bullies what's up. They don't have any charge over what we do or how we do it. It's a subtle way of telling people not to do art. You're not good enough because you trace, because you do art this way, because you dress this way, because you look that way, you look this way. You're not what you say you are. You're fake. No way, man. Don't listen to that. That's a bunch of noise. And it's strange how subtle that noise can be, too, to where you wouldn't even recognize it as being a bully. You just accept it. You know, and the reason why you would accept it is because it comes from inside. It's telling you from inside. It's flowing through your mind and you're paying attention to those thoughts and you're letting them shape you into something negative. Here's the trick. If it's negative in your mind, let it just go through. Do not put it in your heart. Do not tell, you know, do not let it dictate who you become. It's not fair. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to anybody else that's having to listen, you know, to that. You just don't want to do that. It's not very kind to yourself. Now what I'm seeing here is a little bit of yellow coming on in this shell. Just to give it a little bit of color. I mean, these colors with this brown and this off white and stuff, you know, they're warm, and we want to stay with that theme, but we want to get away from the muted feeling that I'm feeling from them. I want to say, okay, now the surface where the shell's actually round right there is going to be its most vibrant color. With these Posca pens, you're not going to get a really good shading effect, but we're going to work with that. We're going to work around that. We're going to use things like, you know, other colors and just sort of put them next to each other like this to try to get the idea that there's some dimension to it. Okay, like for right there, I'm just going to leave that little bit of white, and I'll probably do that on a few of these, just because that's going to be where the brightest highlight's going to be. So I'll do it on a few of them, not all of them, just a few of them. Yeah, and I only say stuff like that about the tracing stuff, you know, touching on that a bit more. I only say that as positive feedback to anybody that thinks that about themselves. I don't want you to hate yourself. That's not the goal. And that's, you know, that's a form of it by thinking that it's just so wrong to do. I think it's a form of not being kind to yourself. And unfortunately, you know, taking that on and letting that rule you also dictates how you respond to that kind of feedback. You might take it negatively immediately because that's how you've trained yourself to think about everything. Watch that. Watch that about you know, the way you think. Be mindful of it. You might not be able to change it completely, but you can absolutely control it more effectively if you know that that's what's going on. Okay, and then now with this yellow, I'm going to go ahead and start filling those in. I'm not going to leave any more of the white behind. I'm just going to fill it all in. I really love these Posca pens. It's so much fun. I have another series on Monday where we do Bella versus aliens. I really like challenges, so large projects, things like that. Really, anything that challenges me. It's easy for me to talk about things that make me feel happy because that's what I like to train my mind to think on. I've done that most of my life, even through adversity. I've always tried to see the glass half full. But with that being said, Bella versus Aliens forces me to think of the things that hindered me, that stopped my growth in growing in art where, it could have been, it could have been progressed in a more positive fashion at those times. So the adversities, the things like telling myself that tracing is cheating, or that being so cynical of myself and critical of myself about erasing lines, even when I'm drawing. I was so hard on myself about that. If I had to erase, the drawing was horrible. It had to go in the garbage. And you know, I want to, part of the Bella versus Aliens is going back to a time and taking back what was taken from me in those instances. So now that I have 42 years experience of art, I want to go back and tell that person that it was okay. Everything was okay. What you did was just fine. And I want everybody that's new to art, that's coming into art, to be welcome to art, because art is anything that makes you feel good that you're creating with your two hands. Anything that you're doing that makes you feel good is art to me. So it doesn't have to be paper to pen, or pen to paper, or it doesn't have to be anything specific. It doesn't have to be photography. It doesn't have to be filmmaking. It can be cooking. It could be, grocery shopping could be an art, really. Time yourself. How quick can you get in and out? How good are you at saving money? Or, there's just so many things you can call art that takes practice. I think art itself should be, it's in line with practice. Practice should be a subset of art, period. It's not talent, it's practice. It's just, practice. You're somebody that enjoys practicing art, you're considered an artist. So, I'm really digging this snail. I like the colors. I like how the colors are looking. It looks dope, man. That's so cool. So cool. See a little bit here. Oh yeah. All right. I think that's looking pretty good. So let's go. Maybe you want to come back here to this. I'm going to come back up against that gray. Just a little bit, huh? What? I'm going to leave a little bit of the white. I want to take that away. I think that's fair enough. So, all right. Then we'll come into it with a little bit of black. Oh, it's looking like it wants to dump on my painting, on my drawing. I don't want to let it. Now I'll be really sparingly with this black. I'm only going to come in where in certain areas, just so I don't overpower the drawing itself. So basically I'm not going to trace anything. Try not to. Okay. Then we could do a little bit of could come in with a little bit of green and do some grass. So like I want to fix that. Like that. So you can cover that up just a little bit. Let that kind of do its thing. We'll come over here and make some grass. Right here will be some grass. Well, that was a bad mark to me. But we can fix it, right? Just stay with it. Don't give up. We'll just come down here like that. Get some of this background in there. Kind of come in under the slug and make some suggestions that it's moving across maybe a little bit of a patch of grass. And be confident with your strokes. Don't be so nervous that, you hinder yourself from doing anything to your drawing that would otherwise be beneficial to your drawing. Here I'm just gonna make some of these blades of foliage look like they're in the foreground by lighting them up a little bit. Now, some of this grass, this is still a little wet. I think that's okay. We might even benefit from that just a little bit. Just seeing where those subtle shadows are. Some of the grass might be behind. Some of it in front. Just don't be predictable. Be elusive. It's always more fun in mystery. I love mystery. Wherever there's stuff like that, we can go like that, just to suggest that clump there is not all just a clump. There's some different textures, different grass. Here, maybe we have maybe this is going to be a dandelion. I don't know. Probably doesn't look exactly like a dandelion, but well, that's okay. It doesn't have to. It just has to suggest that it's there. It's a part of what's going on. Stay with the theme of yellows down here in the corner, since they got so much other color going on out and around over there. Kind of thing. So I'm gonna keep those yellow flowers low to the ground. I don't think they're tall. I think they're short, whatever they are. Dandelions is what I think they are. But I'm debating on putting flowers there. Yeah, I guess we could put some flowers there, and I think we're about at a stopping point here. So next Wednesday, we could when we visit this again, we will have more of an idea of what's here, just because we've moved across the landscape a little bit and added another critter called Snaily. So we have Snaily, Fred. Oh, I forgot I don't know if we named these two. I don't know. We can name them. How about you guys name them? Leave some names down in the comments, and that's what they'll be. The first people to comment their names for the mouse and the seagull, that will be what we call them. So we got Fred and Snaily. Fred and Snails. Snails for short. How about that? But yeah, I think that's it, guys. Till next Wednesday. From Belle and I, peace.